Thanks for joining me for chapter 22 of Ernie Gonzales, The Determined Dreamer. And thank you so much for joining me. This chapter is called The Moving Floor, and I can't wait to read it to you. Things are really heating up in this story now. So I just want to say hi to you guys if you're watching, but I want to say a special hi to two really lovely little girls called Mia and Gianna. I hope I've pronounced Gianna properly, but just say hi to you guys and thanks for watching and reading my book. And yeah, you can catch up on the videos before because I know you've only just started watching. So stay tuned today because I have a really exciting activity with you, and I've actually got organized and printed a worksheet for you to show you. So I have an exciting activity about characters. So characters so important in the story. So I'm going to do a little bit of work on that today. But also I have an exciting announcement about my next video series because we are coming to the end, sadly, of this book. But the good news is new things are coming. So there is another thing at the end of this, which I will tell you about at the end of the video. Plus, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my next book reading. Okay, so I want to crack straight on with the book reading today because I just love reading my book to you guys. So, oh gosh, I got there in the wrong chapter. So today is called The Moving Floor. Yes, that's right. So just a little reminder, in case you've forgotten, but I'm sure you haven't, or you're tuning in for the first time, don't want to spend too long on it because you probably have been watching the whole thing and you know the story by now. But just a little recap, Ernie Gonzales, brave, bold, determined snail, just like you guys, apart from the snail bit, and going in search for his dream because he believes that anything is possible if you just keep on trying, and finds an awesome little Aussie friend called Brucey, and Bruce helps him, a perfect buddy for a journey because he's a super brave adventurer and thinks of stuff that Ernie just wouldn't even think of doing. And they make their way to the olive garden, prove that it exists, and then they've gone on this big mission to go and find the rest of the snails of Binwala, so the snails of his village and his family, and bring them to safety back to the olive garden. Now, if you remember, they just met the cats, Estella, Portia, and Rosa. Okay, three lovely little cats, that have helped them instead of eating them, because I don't know if this is true, but I imagine stray cats would love to eat squidgy snails. They're probably a very tasty meal for them. And the last chapter, was it the last chapter? No. Yes, the last chapter saw Estella fighting off a stray cat who really wanted to eat those snails. He was really hungry. And then Manuel. So Ernie's grandfather, who Ernie calls him Papa, has joined the party. So he has heard Ernie's calls and thought, well, that's a bit strange. Has come out to see what's going on and discovered Ernie with a strange other snail, he doesn't know Bruce yet, hiding in the tunnel with two kittens and another two cats having a fight. So he doesn't know what's going on, but he wants to find out. So this next chapter is going to find out what has happened to Estella and can she manage to fight off the cat. Okay, the moving floor. Estella was putting up a good fight. She was taking many knocks from the stronger cat, but despite being very tired and weak, she bravely stood her ground. Once again, she braved herself as the large tomcat hurled towards her. "Estella, watch out," shouted Ernie, his voice amplified by the long tunnel. But it was too late. The tomcat crashed into her, and like a rag doll, she found herself falling backwards and tumbling down the park's hard steps. Poor Estella. "Ernie, you'll have to go on without me. I can't hold him much longer," Estella said feebly as the cat descended the steps menacingly towards her. Bruce looked at Ernie. "It's time to go," he said. Without waiting for an answer, he slid speedily onto Rosa's back and ordered her to head for the compost heap. "Bruce, stop," shouted Ernie, as loudly as his small green snail lungs would let him. "We need to wait for the other snails to arrive," he said, upset that no one else had remembered them. "If we leave the park now, they will never find us." Bruce asked Rosa to stop for a moment. He took a deep breath and prepared himself to tell his good friend what he had suspected all along, that his plan would never work. But just at that moment, something on the village road caught his eye. He looked up and gasped. "Far out!" he yelled. "The streets are alive." Ernie looked at him. "What, Bruce? I don't understand what you're on about." "Look over there." Bruce pointed towards the village. Everyone stopped and looked up at the road. What they saw took their breath away. Thousands of snails were making their way at speed down the wet hill towards the park. Awesome. Far out, as Bruce would say. The black cat stood over Estella and prepared to take another swipe. But suddenly he froze. He had spotted something moving in the darkness. He looked up towards the village and saw that the street had come alive and seemed to be rushing towards him. Terrified, his fur stood on end and he let out a hiss. Then he bounced off into the bushes with his tail between his legs. It was a truly amazing sight. Thousands of snails were surfing their way along the wet ground in the evening rain, gaining speed as they went. "Quick, Ernie," said Bruce. "Tell them to come this way. If they go to the park, they'll be eaten." Ernie dived out of the tunnel and slid towards the milk carton. "Welcome, Snails. You have done well to make it this far. We congratulate you," he said. "Ernie, get on with it. I can hear more cats coming," said Bruce impatiently. "I know you must be tired and hungry, but we have lots of food," Ernie began. "This way, Snails. Over here, follow these kittens," interrupted Manuel, who had joined him from inside the carton. I think Ernie was waffling a little bit. Ernie looked at his papa and smiled. Then he pulled out the yo-yo from his rucksack. Remember, he packed a yo-yo, which he thought was useless items, but turned out to be not so useless after all. And then he pulled out the yo-yo from his rucksack and attached the string to the end of Rose's tail. Sounds like he's got an idea. Oh, I don't want you to see this picture yet, but I am going to just show you the snails making their way down the hill. Wondering if you can guess what is going to happen next. I don't know. It's a bit far out. "Papa, now I know where I've got my sense of adventure from," he grinned. "Are you feeling daring?" He pointed to the yo-yo and watched his papa's eyes light up. Without hesitation, Manuel slid onto the wooden yo-yo. Estella scratched and bruised, gently picked Ernie up in her mouth and put him safely onto Portia's back. "Okay, my friends, let's go," he said, and the group bounded across the road, down the ramp and onto the compost heap by the river. Can't wait to show you this next picture. Manuel followed on the yo-yo, whizzing from side to side with a huge smile on his face. Proudly, he called to his fellow snails, "This way, follow my grandson." And follow my grandson Ernie, And the large dark mass of moving snails followed him to the safety of the compost heap. So awesome picture. So there's Manuel whizzing along on the yo-yo, spinning from side to side, having a great adventure. So he is loving it. So it just shows, doesn't matter what age you are, you can still have awesome adventures like Manuel. So yeah, that's where Ernie gets his adventures from. So kind of a positive ending of the chapter, which is always nice. We don't want every chapter to end with doom and gloom and sad and suspense, but suspense is good sometimes to use to end the chapter. Like a bit of a cliffhanger, like keep the person guessing and looking forward to the next chapter. Right, so what is the next chapter? Let me just look. It's called A Feast. Compost heap, snails, feast. I guess you can probably guess that. So I want to give you my author tip. So it's a little bit similar, just checking it, a little bit similar to other tips, but I just want to emphasize a little bit more about the importance of characters. And I want you to see how important contrast is between characters. So contrast is, we have morning, so daylight, and darkness, completely opposite ends of the scale, okay? So with your characters, you want to try and get contrast, so differences between your characters. So I think I've talked about this before. One character might respond in a grumpy way and is a bit negative and a bit fearful, but needs a bit of encouragement to do something, and another character is bold and adventurous. That's just one example. I'm sure you can think of loads. Okay, so if you may have noticed that there is definitely contrast between my characters in the story. Also, author tip is to include contrast in your story between your characters. So I've talked about contrast before in like story rhythm. So fast, slow, emotional, where it's a bit down and suddenly something exciting happens. But this is contrast between the differences of your characters' personalities. Okay, but also think about the relationship between your characters. Okay, so make sure that there's a relationship between them. So see how Ernie responded to his papa, and he obviously loves him, and obviously his grandfather loves and admires his grandson. So you can see the relationship there between them, and the relationship with Bruce and Ernie. And there's other relationships in the story as well that you may have noticed that I haven't mentioned. So that's my author tip. So focus on character, don't overlook them. Focus on having some differences between your characters, and the relationships between your characters within your story is a great way to make your story more believable. Okay, so following on from that, my activity today is, first thing, okay, I want you to write a paragraph or two, okay, about what does the story tell us about Manuel's character and about his relationship with Ernie. Okay, so you can just do that on a blank piece of paper, just write that. That's a really good way to get you thinking about the characters and their relationships, okay? Second thing is these worksheets, okay? So I have got some character profile cards that you guys can download from my website. And I want you to have a go at writing one of these, making one of these for as many characters as you want in the book, but definitely for Bruce and Ernie. But if you can do Manuel and Jose, you might want to do the cats. Not so much detail about the characters of the cats that I've put in the story, because they're not such main characters. Maybe Estella a little bit, but the kittens less. But you can do them if you want. Maybe you can fill in the blanks that I haven't put in the story, okay? So you can tell me what you think they're like. But there is a space to give them a name, which you know their names. And there's an awesome space for drawings, because I love drawings. And then there is when they were born, their age, their family, the favorite activity, dreams and goals. And then over here, what they look like. So there's a couple of things you need to think about. Their inside character and what they look like on the outside, okay? So the personality is the inside, and their appearance is what they look like on the outside. Two completely different things, okay? So don't forget to describe both of them. And then at the bottom is, bottom is describe their personality, okay? So what they are like. And don't forget your picture, because I love pictures. So download these worksheets and please send them in to me, because I would love to see them. I would love to share them, and I would love to see your awesome pictures. So we are done. But before we go, I said I was going to tell you about my next book reading. So after I wrote this book, I wrote a workbook all about dreaming with Ernie. Okay, so it is about how to become a determined dreamer. So my next video series is going to be how to become a determined dreamer like Ernie. Okay, so it's going to be slightly different, and I'm going to be referring to some of the things in this book, but not reading the whole chapter. And then I'm going to be setting various types of activities to get you to think about things like friendship, teamwork, believing in yourself, believing in your goals, encouraging yourself when you just feel like giving up, because we all do sometimes. It's normal. Okay. What else was there? Yeah, how to encourage your friends. So also, believing in your dreams, it's also great to believe in other people's dreams and support them along the way. So I'll be talking all about that. I feel like there's one thing I've missed, but I can't remember. Hopefully I'll remember next week. But yeah, so there's lots of different things in that. How to be a determined dreamer like Ernie. So I'm really excited about that. So that should happen in a couple of weeks when we have finished this book. And next thing I want to mention is I am going to read this second book to you. Okay, so I will probably, I'm going to have to think about when I'm going to start it, possibly after the Dreaming with Ernie. Okay, but it will be great, okay, if you can follow along. So if you want to follow along by reading it, you can get copies of these on Amazon, which I haven't mentioned yet. So all of my books are available on Amazon. So if you like to follow along, which is a great way for you to get much more out of the story and to see how I've written it to help you in your own writing. Because remember, I said, best tip I can give you for improving your story writing is read, read, read. So if you follow along while I'm reading it, that will help you as well, because you can see how I've written it. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can keep up to date with when these new videos are going to come about. Don't forget you can download resources on my website. There are links to where you can find my resources. Don't forget to send in your work. I always love seeing your work. After all, that's why I'm doing the videos, because I want you guys to share your story writing and to enjoy what I'm doing. And one more thing, visit my Facebook page to keep up to date with other things that I'm doing. So I think that's it. Oh, yes, don't forget to join me for chapter 22, which is called, as I said before, A Feast. So that will be on Tuesday next week. So have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.